Hey guys, welcome to the 10th episode of Secret Dreams. I'm Dimitri Wakov, leadership coach, helping leaders to master themselves to inspire mastery all around them. And one of the things which is very dear for me is to help people follow their dreams. First, of course, find them and then follow them. And that's why I created Secret Dreams, because everyone has this secret dream inside. It can be about career, it can be about getting married, it can be about living in another country, whatever. You have a dream. I know that you, who is listening right, has a dream, and we are here to help you to connect to it and follow it. Today's guest, I don't know her for a very long time, but we had several conversations with her which are very deep, and definitely I sense and I feel that I know her for longer than I know her. So, what I sense about you, Anelia, welcome first here
Thank you.
in my podcast, is that first of all, you are very self aware, you are very connected to yourself, you are deep, and uh, one thing which definitely stands out is that you have a insatiable desire to contribute to the society. And this is very valuable, not because just the contribution you bring, but also because you went so deep in yourself so that you realized this thing. And it's not about, because a lot of people talk about contribution, uh, but I can sense definitely when someone is doing it from their heart, and that feels right when I say your name and when I think about you. So I'm not gonna talk about your careers and stuff. I just want to give the opportunity to you to share your story the way you feel like, and really show people how your life unfolded.
Hmm.
So welcome here again, and uh, talk about yourself.
Thank you, Dimi. Thank you so much for that introduction. Wow, I'm a little bit speechless. It's such a uh, yeah, what you said is really beautiful and it really touched me. And we haven't known each other for a very long time, but I really consider you a deep and dear friend because I feel like we're very much on the same wavelength with a lot of things. So it's really a pleasure to be here. So what tell you guys about myself, my story. So I'd like to think that my story is one of continuous transformation, learning, unlearning, growing, and ultimately going on this journey back to myself. And really the version of the person that I came here to be before society told me who I should be. And in terms of my upbringing, so I was born in Bulgaria. My parents emigrated to the U.S. When I was very young, long enough for me to pick up this accent, and then we moved to
Mm,
Switzerland.
yeah.
So I grew up in Switzerland, and even though I didn't live in Bulgaria for very long, I always felt a very deep connection to my country. Like I feel very Bulgarian in my soul and in my roots. And I was, my parents they're two very hardworking, intelligent, amazing people that gave me all the love and the support that they could. And, you know, they did whatever they could to give me the best education. And I always felt a sense of duty and responsibility that I have to give back for that, right? Because when I compare my life and where it is to where it could have been had I stayed in Bulgaria and had I not had those opportunities, I think yeah, I would have been in a very different position. So I feel if I have an opportunity to give back in some way, then it's my duty to do so. And that's always that's always driven me in some way. I think it's been like a core tenet of how I think I like to operate in the world. When I look at my career, I guess I have what you would define as a pretty successful career. From when I started working, I had a lot of like a very fast progression through roles, worked at prestigious organizations, had a lot of support and backing, access, recognition, all the things that one would dream of in terms of building a career that they are quote unquote proud of, right? And one where they think that they would be super fulfilled. And while I'm very thankful for what I've built, at the same time, and at times, don't get me wrong, like it really gave me a high, right? All these like extrinsic motivators. I think looking back, there were definitely times where I was like, I'm really not that fulfilled. Like there's something that's missing. And moments where I've really felt like quite empty inside. And even when I was a child, I think I've always been quite like self-reflective and deep. And I was kind of a boring child. I like to hang out with adults and talk about things. I didn't really play for better, for worse. But, I've always kind of like had these questions in my mind, like what is out there? Is there more? And so that's always been a common thread. But the thing is that I think, so I kind of got onto the spiritual path quite early, but the lure of the extrinsic motivators was always like big enough to drive me towards that and to keep me ambitious and driven and wanting to prove my success. And yeah, and I always just felt that my happiness and that emptiness that I felt would be fulfilled by something outside of me. So I always waited for the next role that would be amazing. I always waited for the next relationship that would be amazing. And then all of a sudden I would be at the point of happy, here I am. And of course, like, guess what, right? Like, I think a lot of people can relate to this. You reach your goals and then you realize that, wait, I'm not feeling the way I anticipated that I would feel. Okay. And so there were definitely a few situations over the course of my life where I was forced to pause and take a break and have these thoughts and reflections of like, where am I going? But they weren't strong enough for me to actually make the change for whatever reason, until around the end of 2021. It was right after I had left the World Economic Forum, and I thought, okay, here I am. I'm now ready to go off on my own path. I'm really passionate about health and well-being, transformation, leadership. I'm going to put this thing together and I'm going to go and do something with it and help people. And I was ready to do it, but somehow something kept me back from believing in myself that I could. And life again sent me two things where I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm ready to leave. I fell in love, and it brought me like a partner that I thought was like my dream partner and my dream role that I always wanted to have, which was to be a chief of staff to a CEO at, of the prosperous company. Wow. And these two things came together and they happened to be in the same city. And I was like, here we are. Finally, I've made it. Like, let's leave behind all this stuff I thought I was going to do on health and well-being and all these things. Let's go and let's do this. And I very quickly realized that that dream was not my dream. It was somebody else's dream, And that's when I hit rock bottom. So, I'll save some of the details of that. But basically last year, beginning of 2023 was when I really hit my rock bottom. And I'd like to think I am a rock bottom type of person. If I don't hit it, I don't really make the change. Like, it really needs to whack me in the face. And it finally came. I entered the most depressive episode of my life. I probably had a burnout. I don't want to use that, I don't want to throw around that phrase too lightly, because I think we have to be careful when we say that. I definitely felt like all my energy was sucked out of me. Mm-hmm. And I remember, I would come home and we'd have countless arguments. Then I'd go to work and I would just be stressed and my energy would be sucked out of me. And I remember like just sitting on the train commuting to work one day, and I just looked in the mirror, not in the mirror, in the window, and I saw my reflection and I looked like a ghost. And I was like, wow, where is this like shiny, happy, sparkling, joyful, driven, literally human being? Where did she go? She's gone. I literally crumbled. Everything around me felt like it was just falling apart. And I'm like, okay, like what I thought was going to make me the happiest has made me the most miserable in my life. Clearly, the solution is not outside. Clearly, what I'm looking for is not out there. It's got to be in here. That's the only way. Like, I tried this way, maybe I need to try something else. And that's when I made the biggest change of my life so far. My relationship ended. um, my role at the company ended, and I decided that I would take a very conscious time out, as long as I needed, to get to the point where I felt I was centered again, and I felt that I could realign my life to my values and not only know what I want to do, but get to the point where I believed that I could.
Yeah.
And that's basically what this last year has been for me. I've been on a self-imposed sabbatical where and I can talk more about that in detail, but where I've really gone back into this journey towards myself and figuring out really what truly makes me happy from within. And you and I have had these conversations before, really tapping into the being of who I am and not the doing, defining myself by who I am, not what I do.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of what brings me to today.
I love it. It was so masterfully illustrated by you, all of this, everything which actually, everything, let's say, important which happened in your life in a nutshell. And first of all, thank you for being vulnerable, because that's not easy, and we know that, and that shows how much you've grown in your life. That you can just come see here with me, and also people who are gonna listen to that, and say, guys, I'm hyper successful, but I hit rock bottom last year or 2 years ago. Do you know why this is important? Because people believe that growth and development is linear. You just go on a journey, you're here, and then you just go always up, 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 up. But we know, both of us, we know that it's not like that. And what you showed here with your story is that, I mean, this illustrates practically the reality that it's not like that. You just grow, and then you just hit rock bottom, and then you come back again. And if people know you, for example, from before, and know that how successful you are, they sometimes they cannot believe that this happened to you. I'm sure about this, but you sit here and you share it, and that gives people freedom to feel as human beings and to be okay with the things, the way things happen in their life. This is priceless. I don't know how much you realize that, but this is priceless for people. I'm telling you. And that's why we're here. That's why we speak, because we want to show people the reality, the authenticity. While you were speaking, I was thinking, additionally to everything which I said, Secret Dreams is about authenticity. It's about being here, unabridged, like here with people and sharing your life, not how great I am, but what's the reality of it. And also in this way, people realize that your greatness, within your greatness, is a lot of fear, it's a lot of uncertainty, it's a lot of going down. It's part of the journey. Because everyone can share how great they are, but not everyone can share the secrets behind it. So that's why I thank you. And I want you to ask one question first, is how you said at one point you realized this is not your dream, right? It's someone else's dream. How did you get that? How did you realize that? And how did you point out, oh, this is not mine?
Well, there were many signs. The way I'm brought up, I feel like there was always this drive in me to impress my parents. Nobody ever pushed me to do anything. And it's so funny because my mom is like, nobody pushed you. Why are you like this? Why are you so, you're so hard on yourself and you're a perfectionist and you're this overachiever. And it's true, nobody did. But I have been looking into this for quite a while. And definitely I know that there's a part of me which just wanted to prove myself to them in some way. And I think I already knew deep down inside when I took that role that there was parts of me inside that were not aligned. Like, it was my dream, but if I really had taken the time to sit and reflect and like really sit with myself, I knew that there was a piece that was missing there. And I knew that I wasn't fully going in the direction that was true to my authentic inner self. But quite frankly, I was afraid to sit with that because I didn't want to miss the amazing opportunity. And I said to myself, I will make this work no matter what. I'll make my relationship work and I'll make this job work and I'm going to kill it.
It's
And
time.
I've been waiting long enough. It's happening. And so I have to tell you, I already went in with that. It's just that little voice started getting louder and louder and louder and louder and eating away at me. Like, our soul is always speaking to us. We just have to heed the signs. And it's going to come knocking on your door until you're ready. And it's going to be as loud as it needs to be to get you to listen. And for me, it got to the point where, I mean, I started having a lot of physical symptoms.
Wow.
I had the worst stomach pains of my life. I had to go a few times to the emergency doctor, actually, because I didn't know what was going on. And I was like, okay, my body is speaking to me. It was literally telling me, just get the hell out. Get out of here, you know? And this cannot be a dream. If it's a dream, it should feel good. It should expand you. If it's your dream, that's how you know. If it's aligned for you, who cares what people think and what people say? If you know it's the thing for you, you know. Like, there's a resounding sense of peace and liberation that comes from within. It's not in here. And for people that are very much driven by this, and I've been that way for a very long time, if this is the part that's doing the work, it's probably not it.
Absolutely. Totally agree with you. I mean, I think, honestly, that was one of the best explanations I had so far in the show when it comes to how do you know that it's not you. And I think one of the biggest reasons is because you are hyper aware, and that I've said in a good way, hyper aware person who really, you're very in touch with your body, with your soul, you could say, because your body is the vehicle, we know that, and the soul is there. But and I think, one of the most important points here is that definitely people need to be more aware of that before they know the answer to that question.
Yes, they do.
Otherwise, it's hard.
They do. And I'm going to tell you something that's quite challenging.
Yeah.
And I make big statements, so I'm just going to go ahead and make it. You know, not
Do
everybody
that.
will.
For big statement.
Not everybody will agree with me, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I think I've come to the point where, like, I don't need to be everyone's, you know.
Of course.
So be everything for everyone. I would go as far as to say that if you feel kind of numb, and if you feel irritable, or you're snapping at things, or you're finding yourself getting angry at things and going about your life and your day, and you're just with this veil of kind of just like, not necessarily darkness, this like meh feeling, look into that. That's your first clue. Feeling nothing is your first clue.
Yes, it is. It is.
And you'd be surprised how quickly awareness comes to us. We are all intuitives. That's the thing. I want to challenge the paradigm where people say, like, oh yeah, but you're so connected to your intuition, you're hyper aware. Yes, because I've cleared out the gunk that stood in the way of what was really mine. And that's, you know what, that's available to everyone. Every single person out there. We all have that center within us. And it doesn't take that long to give yourself just a little bit of space to get in tune with the voice of it. It won't be strong immediately, and it's going to take work, like everything in life. There's no like, oh, overnight miracle. Yeah. But if you really want it, then you commit to it.
Do you have a practice you have, your specific practice, which helps you to be more connected to this part of yourself? Maybe practices.
Yeah, I have many practices. One thing that I love, though, that I think will be accessible to a lot of people is something that I do called the morning pages. Have you heard of this?
I suppose I know what you mean, but I think I know it another way. But share
Yeah,
that.
it's
Yeah.
stream of consciousness writing.
Yes. Yeah.
And the reason that I mention this is because I think it's accessible to everyone. You don't need to have any special skill to do it. You just need a notebook and a pen, and just set your alarm if you can for a little bit earlier in the morning, so you have 30 minutes to yourself. If you can do 45 minutes, that's great, where you just do stream of consciousness writing. You basically wake up and you just start writing. And even if you have nothing to write, then keep on writing over, I have nothing to write. I have nothing to write.
I love that.
For 3 pages until it comes to you.
Yes.
I learned this practice through Julia Cameron's book, The Artist's Way. And this is one book that I would recommend for a lot of people to read. Don't get thrown off by the title about artists. We're all actually creatives. That's the thing. Like, life is creative. Like, we are here to create. So you don't have to be a musician or a painter or an actor. Everyone is creative. I would really recommend that book. And that's the practice there that actually I've been doing it for, I don't know how long. I really don't know. And I stick to it consistently. And the beauty of this practice is that you do it, you get frustrated at yourself, but you realize that there's so much gunk actually in your head when you wake up that it really helps to clear it out. And it's not about writing a novel. It's not about writing anything like meaningful. It can be totally senseless stuff, but at some point, once you do it long enough, you hit this kind of magic spot where
Love it.
you get clarity. And it's like somebody is writing and you're like, who is this person? And what are they saying? And where's this wisdom coming from? And then you actually realize the power that lies within you,
Yeah.
and your own ability to be your best source of advice, because only you know what's best for you.
Absolutely.
So I have a lot of practices, but I think
Yeah.
I want to be
Great
targeted.
practice.
I want to be targeted in what I say, because I could talk about a lot of things, but they won't resonate. I feel like this is one that might resonate for a lot of your listeners and a lot of people out there.
Absolutely. Do you know? It's very. I love the practice because, as you say, it's simple. Everyone can do it. And guys, listen to that and just try it tomorrow. Just go there, write it down, and just do that. Even if it's 5 pages, like she said, I don't have anything to write. That's going to be beneficial for you. Because people make, especially things when it comes to spirituality, makes it sometimes very complex. Like,
Yeah,
this is something magical which is out there, not everyone can access it. Or no, it's not.
exactly.
It's
Exactly.
not. I mean, also when you said awareness is always here. We just fog it with stuff. That's it. And your practice, the practice you shared, is just you remove the fog. That's it. You just remove the clouds, and it's very practical. Tell me, I want to tell me something. I want to talk to me about fear a little bit, because I'm sure that you faced fear and you still face fear on daily basis. Everyone is doing that in a way. Um, in all of this journey you have been through, and especially I guess the last 1 year, what are the fears you are facing and how you do deal with them?
Oh, fear is a topic that's very near and dear to my heart.
Yeah.
Before I get into it, let me just mention quickly, for the morning pages, it's very important that it's handwritten. So whoever wants to try it, don't use the laptop. That's cheating. Handwritten, and it's maximum 3 pages. So you don't have to write a lot. It's maximum 3 pages. Okay, so let's talk about fear. So I like what you said, because yes, it's true. I think we all have them. It's a very normal human experience, and they never leave us.
No.
And I think that's part of the way to deal with them, is recognizing that some fears will always be there. And so how do you actually befriend them? How do you actually get to the point where you can work with them, not against them? Because
Very well put.
that I'm losing my word, but that basically limits their power, right? So it can be this super scary, powerful thing that you think is like, oh my God, I can't do this. I don't know how I'm going to get through this. And what happens in our head is that, it becomes like this all encompassing, we're never gonna get through it. And that's all a lie, right? And so I think we have to also remember, like, let's just remember, fears are usually there. They serve a purpose. Like every fear you have it serves a purpose. It's there to protect you. Now, whether it's effective and you need protection from the thing it actually thinks it's protecting you from, that's then a different question. That's you to use your discernment to actually question, did the fears that I adopted in childhood, when I was a small little child that needed protection and love and care and couldn't take care of myself, should they still rule my life now? When I am an independent, sovereign, free agent that is fully capable of taking care of myself, right? And so I think when you have almost like a dialogue, and that's one thing I love to do with my fears, because I know fear very well. You know the fear, identify it, and sit down and have a discussion with it. And invite it to the table and say, like, hey, fear, I see you. And this is something I've actually done. It's like, hey, I see you. That's cool. You're here. Great. Thank you for trying to protect me. Thank you for caring for me enough to show up. But I don't need you now. Like, it's cool. I see you. You can sit at the table, but I don't need you because I don't need your protection. I can do this myself. And it's okay. Like, I've got this. And that disarms. That's the word I'm looking for. It disarms the fear. Because it's your friend. It's your ally. Think about it. It's just trying to protect you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And then the interesting thing that happens is that you take your power back.
Yes.
Because what's happening in our society? Fear is a tool to control. We're being controlled on a daily basis because of fear narratives. And this is where I think having the skill of discernment and honing your critical thinking is so important. That gives you your power back. Don't ever give your power away. You are stronger than anything out there. So they don't need to be something that stops you, right? They can be things that actually help you. And they never go away.
Absolutely. One of the things which I would say it's very well put practice. I think I was smiling because it's when you know how you can feed something or how to disarm it is the moment when you take control over it. So it's like fear, like you said, it's going to be there, and because fear sometimes is very crucial for us and it's important for us, it can help us to actually survive even nowadays.
Exactly.
But what as you said, we need to realize is, first of all, okay, does this fear serves me right now? That is the thing. And if you come from a place, like you said, of understanding, the fear is gonna share. I'm here for that. Okay, thank you. But right now I don't need you. It's all right. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for trying to help me. But unfortunately, you're not helping me now.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then the fear is gonna go away. And you move towards, sometimes it's not fully, you need to take some courage to make things, I mean, but yeah, just go and do it. I love it. And let's go to something a little bit different, even though it's not, because I think one of the biggest fears of people, they cannot make it happen, which connects with the self-doubt idea. So I definitely believe that self-doubt is the single most crucial thing which stays on our way to success and following our dreams. Self-doubt is the number one in my practice, what I know from my practice and in my life. So tell me, I'm going to share it, I'm going to rephrase it, how do you meet this friend of yours and how do you work with it?
I couldn't agree with you more. I couldn't agree with you more that self-doubt is the biggest killer. It's the biggest killer. It's the thing that stands most in our way and keeps us in the confines of our mind away from achieving what we're really here to do. And I know it from my own journey because then, as I said in the beginning, this last year has been about not only aligning myself to have the clarity on what I want to do, but also getting myself to the point where I believe that I
Mm,
have what it takes. And there's been many times in the past where I've had thoughts of, I know that I don't want to do this, but it feels good and it feels safe, and the lure of the extrinsic is strong enough, and stronger than my pull towards what I think I want to do, but maybe I can do it as a hobby on the side and all this stuff, right? But I was just lying to myself. I was lying to myself because what I was doing was saying, you just don't have what it takes. Actually, you don't really have what it takes. So just go
love
and do the safe thing because you're anyway good at it. That's always been my narrative. And I remember like when you and I were walking in the park like a few weeks ago, I remember I had this massive breakthrough. I'm like, whoa,
it.
it was wild.
Yeah.
And so I know very well what it's like when it gets in the way. Now, my experience has been, interestingly enough, I was reflecting on this recently. I feel like the biggest antidote to self doubt was fostering a relationship to myself, meaning
Love it.
learning to trust myself.
Mm, mm,
And that doesn't come easy. And it sounds like very elusive because it's like, oh, hey, great, like trust yourself, love yourself. But it's really a journey. And
absolutely.
that's why it takes time. It's taken me, I would say, all my life so far to get to that point where I'm doing the work to get to the point where I can say, hey, no matter what happens, I am going to be here for me always.
I love it.
I trust myself no matter what happens. And there's a lot of tools and practices out there, that people can work with someone like you as a coach, or they can do hypnotherapy. There's so many things where you can clear these blocks and these limiting beliefs that keep you confined, thinking that this is the truth of your self-doubt, and keeping you away from what you have inside of you, what it takes to do what you want to do, right? There's many tools out there. And I would encourage people to look into that, right? Because we do need help in situations like this. It's not just to wake up one day and you're like, hey, yeah, okay, today I trust myself. It doesn't work that way. But you know what does? The moment that it clicks and you become aware of exactly your flavor and your version of I'm not good enough or I don't have what it takes, 90% of the game is awareness. I know it from my own journey.
Yes,
Once you
absolutely.
become aware, you bring it into the conscious, and then all of a sudden, it's no longer a wired programming. It becomes an active choice. And every time you're faced, like I'm still faced with self doubt with a lot of things,
Of course.
but it's not an automatic program. It's a conscious thing of like, oh, there we are again. There's that thought. I don't have what it takes. I'm not good enough. Wait, let me challenge that. Is that really true? When have I not proven to myself in the past that I can't do it? And then you start looking for all the reasons that you can get through it, right? And I think that's the thing. It's like you have to do the work. It's not going to magically happen, but trust in the fact that 90% of the game is awareness. And once you make that realization, the rest is much easier. That's when the healing happens. That's when things just start flowing. And then you give
Yeah,
yourself the gift of positive reinforcement.
absolutely. I think you touched upon that, but I'm gonna share it
Mm,
again. I believe that. I mean, see, if you tweak that, I think what I'm gonna share now, a lot of things are changing in your life. And again, you shared it. The last thing you shared, I think it was that direction. Why not challenge? Because we learn to challenge um, our how good we are. We learn
mm,
to challenge that we are enough. We learn to challenge that we are capable. Why not reverse that? Why not we start challenging also the doubtful thoughts? And if you do that, like you shared the last one you shared, why do you take them as granted?
mm,
What makes them right?
mm,
Ask them. Stay with them. Why do you think I am this? Most of the time, there is no evidence. Most of the time, there is no evidence. Like you said, when I was not, no evidence. It's like granted, take it for granted, I'm not good enough. Why? How? What shows that? And you can just, in this way, like you said, the awareness you're going to get there is going to help you to say, okay, maybe I'm good enough. Maybe I'm beautiful enough. Maybe I'm smart enough. Maybe I'm capable to do it. Because I've shown so many times that I did it. Work with that, like you said. Work with these thoughts. And the other one you said about trust, I noticed that we need to learn to trust that of our journey, of course, the journey we have. What I mean by that is sometimes you go into things and you fail. But
Mm.
you know deeply that if you know that this is the thing you need to do it for your journey. You know, it's part of the journey you have. Yes, I go there, I try this, I fail. But I learned something there which helps me for my journey. I loved when someone said, you need to trust yourself in your failures. You need to trust that.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. I mean, there's so many things that come to mind that I want to say, and but one thing I think that's maybe crucial to point out is that, when we talk about self-doubt, like, we are wired for negative. Like, that's just the way the mind works, right? So I think it's important also for people to take away the fact that it's not easy to challenge your thoughts, and it does take work. So they shouldn't beat themselves up. And I think all of this healing work needs to be approached with self-compassion and needs to be approached with grace,
Yeah.
and giving yourself a lot of grace, because that inner critic is strong, and it gets even stronger when you start also beating yourself up for trying to
Yeah.
make the change. It's like, not
Yes.
only do I now see these doubts, I try to face them, but now I'm judging myself for the fact that I can't overcome them. What a terrible human I am, and then the whole narrative starts and you start going into this negative cycle. So I just want to reiterate that it's not easy. Like, I mean, you and I, we've been doing this work for probably since, we're children. Like,
Yeah.
we just have
Yeah.
a different journey, and that's okay. And everybody starts at a different point. So self-compassion and giving yourself grace and just being there for yourself, I think that's so crucial on this journey. It's so, so, so important.
It
And
is.
also, like, remembering that the inner critic is there. It will always likely be there, the same way with self-doubt.
Yeah.
Um, Listen to it, give it a space at the table, and know when to call bullshit on it and
Yes.
say enough is enough. I've given you all the power that you need. Now, please let me run the show.
Yes.
Because
I
think
love
about
it.
it. I was recently reflecting on this too. Like, we are the product of our lineage, of our roots. Everybody carries stories of struggle, of suffering, generations back. That's going to be in us. That's it doesn't have to define us, but it is in us. So at what point do you choose to say, I make a different choice now? I decide to look at things differently. I decide to make a different meaning going forward. So I think all of that is connected, but I think the key message is just give yourself grace and be compassionate with yourself. It's so important. And it just breaks my heart to see people walking around feeling like they're not good enough. Like, it breaks my heart,
Absolutely.
because we all are. You don't need to have achieved anything. You don't need to deserve it. Like, we are born that way.
Absolutely. I'm going to share something and I'm going to ask you the message you want to leave
Mm.
for people. There is this very interesting idea that every single one of us is a normal human being, like normal, like everyone else, and at the same time is unique. I love this. A little bit sometimes people see it as they're confused by it. So how can I be normal but also unique? Yes, each of us, we are equal. Each of us were equal. Each of us were human beings. Each of us we have emotions. But we have something different in each of us. And this something different is there to grow it and to help society with it. If you understand that, this message, that may create the biggest change in your life.
Uh,
Because you always will feel part of the big one, but always will feel also unique. So I wanted the last thing to share here is if there is one key, you shared in a way several keys which might help you to go after the journey of your dreams. But if there is one thing you can share with people, maybe they can start it and focus on it. What would be this thing?
Oh, I feel like it's important to share with people that I strongly believe we came here to be who we were meant to be, not to do, but to be. And fulfilling one's purpose in many ways and how one can make the biggest contribution is to be themselves, their true authentic self, unapologetically. Everybody has a role to play. And to your point of what is individual and what is collective, if each one of us is anchoring into our uniqueness and living life in the way that rings true for us, then we very beautifully form this like one collective chorus where, as you said, we work together and we're all equal, but everybody is unique. And so in some ways, your purpose is not the thing you're doing.
No.
Your purpose is the thing that you're being. And the more that you can align your life to getting yourself to that place within, I think the more liberation you'll find, the more peace you'll find, the more alignment you'll find, the more, funnily enough, the right opportunities and people will come to you that will actually get you to that external place where you want to be.
Yeah.
But start within. I always say, if you want to make an impact in the world, which I know many of us do, we want to build the world that we want to live in. Don't focus out there. Start within. Learn how to lead yourself first. And that starts with knowing yourself. And that's all that you have to be responsible for. Do that, and the rest, honestly, I feel magically unfolds and fits together.
Absolutely. Thank you, Anelia, for sharing all of your wisdom today. It was really amazing conversation. You triggered so many insights in me, and definitely I'm sure you're gonna do it for other people. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.